Hello, I'm Kristin Bauer, and welcome to Redefine Beauty. This is my podcast where I share and offer a new perspective on beauty through the lens of beauty as an internal vibration expressed externally and then witnessed by others. It starts with the love and compassion that we have for our bodies, for our lives, and the gift that we are to the world. And hopefully this helps my listeners to connect to the truth of beauty. I feel like I grew up in a reality where beauty was very dependent on what my face and my body and my hair looked like, and this set me up for failure. I now believe that beauty is an energy. It is our life force that shines from within. It comes through the love that we have for ourselves and these phenomenal bodies that we are gifted. A blemish, a line, a little bit of cellulite can never take away from our beauty. And when we learn that these marks are messages from our body and respond to our body with healing and nurturing, remarkable consciousness begins to blossom. Our beauty doesn't age, doesn't break down. It only gets wiser and more magnificent as we learn and discern our own truths. And when we are clear and share our true amazing self, our beauty is a gift to the world and specifically those around us. Today, I am honored to be joined by one of my personal healers, Ilka Oster. I was introduced to Ilka from my friend Michelle for Eutaptics, which we're going to tell you about in a minute. It's very similar to EFT. It just happens really fast and it's phenomenal. And I think maybe Ilka and we are so connected. As soon as we met, I believe that we had a connection in a past life for sure. Our vision was so similar. We had the most incredible chat, just getting to know each other. And I'm very excited to introduce you to Ilka today. She is a self-proclaimed heretic, challenger of the status quo. She loves to co-create with brilliant, like-minded people and build communities where emotional intelligence and personal freedom is the most highly valued. She offers some really cool therapies. She's an advanced level 5 Eutaptics practitioner now for almost a decade. Ilka draws on her skills and experience to support hundreds of clients all around the world. Just so you know, she's in Australia. And she does this to awaken people to their own deepest life, purpose, and fulfillment. The Eutaptics process, she's going to explain a little bit more about it, but it basically rewires the brain's neural pathways on a very deep cellular level. And the result is that you can trust and accept and love yourself and to continue to grow and expand. Ilka loves to see people being the powerful, conscious creators of their own lives. She's a children's rights, radical unschooling, home birth, and natural immunity advocate. She loves studies and practices, nonviolent communication, Ho'oponopono, Byron Katie's The Work, human design, theta healing, I've got more, personal training, wealth mindset coaching, Dinah Martin unschooling advocacy coaching. I love it all. Basically, Ilka, I really need you to be my mom in my next life. So welcome and thanks so much for being here today. I'm really excited to share a little bit about the Eutaptics process and just to talk to you about how you became this cool so that we can all also be this cool and just really get your, I believe you have a really beautiful connection to the earth and to this really authentic sense of knowing ourselves and trusting ourselves and loving ourselves. And so I'm really excited to hear from you, how all this happened, how you came to be, what kinds of things we can all do with you, and just to spend some more time together because I feel like we have such an amazing relationship. So I'm so happy to share you with everybody here. So welcome.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Kristin. I think that's the most amazing intro I've ever heard. That was just incredible. I mean, the work that you're doing is just so needed. And if they just listen to that intro, I think women would be able to make huge changes, because just to know what a different way of beauty, like, it's just so amazing. So thank you for that. And I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yay! We're going to do
Yay.
amazing stuff on this podcast today, guys. We're going to talk about cool stuff. And Ilka's actually going to do some Eutaptics on me. So this is going to be fun. Definitely listen. As you know, if you have listened to my podcast before, I kind of start everybody off on the same question because I really like to know what's going on in the world. I have my little sense of reality growing up in the US and Florida and my experience of beauty. And I like to really know from all over the world, basically what it was for you as far as beauty in your childhood. What inspirations did you have for beauty? At what point in your life did you start even considering what beauty was to others, what it was to yourself? Tell me a little bit about little Ilka realizing, you've got all this stuff and what you want to do with it.
Oh, I love that you've really got me thinking about this, because I think it's one of the first times that I've reflected back on my life from this angle. And I just think it's such an amazing thing to do. It's really got me thinking deeply about where did I develop this sense of myself. And I have quite a deep trust in myself. And probably the answer to that question, the best answer I can find is my sandpit. So
You found yourself in your sandpit.
Yeah, basically, I really loved to play with dirt. I loved getting my hands dirty. I loved, and I'm very fortunate. I was feeling like I was allowed to do that. Like I was allowed to go out and get dirty. I'm sure my mum, she would clean me up and that, but she was a farm girl herself. So I got to experience, climbing trees, being in nature, and spending a lot of time outside. So my very first sense of myself came, I think, from that relationship. And that really set me up, I think, to trust in myself a lot.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I think we sometimes as a society can overlook the beauty that's in nature. Think about all the different insects and the different plants and flowers and animals and how incredibly gorgeous, even just looking at the night sky when it's full of stars, how magnificent it is. And so I feel like growing up in a place where nature was your beauty influencer was probably really fantastic. And
absolutely.
Now we know, we have tons of articles that say, letting your kids play in the dirt is incredible. And so I don't know how much dirt I got in when I was a kid. I'm a little jealous of your dirt experience.
I really do think it was very fundamental in I know even in working on myself, when I had to find my happy memory in the beginning, one of the things we use in Eutaptics is a happy memory, and it was digging the dirt. And it seems so simple, but it was digging the dirt. And when you dig a big tunnel under the ground and your hands touch together, and the delight that I used to feel from that, and I could really go back and I could get such a good sense of the cold in the dirt. When you got deeper and deeper, it got cooler. And I started to really feel into this sensation. And it was one of the things that really transformed my life through, like I could collapse. In fast derivative or in Eutaptics, we call it collapsing the other things that were more negative. So I used that memory to do that, because it was so visceral. It was such a visceral experience.
I remember that. Now that you say that, I remember that cold earth, and I remember when you made it through your earth tunnel. That was really
I love
remembering that. Thank you. And
Yeah, my pleasure.
you're one of my favorite kind of people, which is why I think we kind of fell in love with each other right away. I really appreciate your crunchiness, your earthiness. You're authentically natural and very dedicated to helping everyone, but really specifically, I love how you help women and children return back to the roots of the earth, the roots of that connection to our Mother Earth that a lot of people maybe have been disconnected from. And so has this always been the case? I hear that you kind of started out like this, and it seems like you're pretty much here now. Was there any time in between that you had a different experience and kind of went a different way and found your way back, or you've just always been super connected to the earth and crunchy?
As far as being connected to the earth and crunchy, I love that you say that. Yes, that's a great way to describe me. Probably that's pretty true of my whole life. If I think about where I started to disconnect in myself, I think of perhaps the air element comes to mind, because I got very in my head, particularly after my children were born. And that was when I really, started to, and my children were a catalyst for bringing up the things that I had not processed in my past. And I really know that on a deep level now, because that's the work that I mostly do, is with mothers and helping them with their own triggers around their own children. So that was the time in my life where I started to kind of come undone, I suppose, and not know who I was and not know how to, I just felt like I was a bit crazy. I got quite depressed, and that was kind of the start of trying to work out how to change my head and therefore, reconnect with my body, because somewhere along the line there, I lost that connection from mind to body.
Yeah.
And I was kind of really I couldn't work out how to get my body back to that beautiful childhood feeling that I'd had. Yeah, I'd really lost that that was about age 26, 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that discovery process what led you to Eutaptics?
Absolutely. And really the reason that I mostly focus now on helping mums is because it was, I joke and I laugh with the other mums, because so many of us have this experience. It's like, before I was a mum, I thought I was a really kind, nice person. And
All
then when
moms
I
get that
became,
joke.
yeah, we all get the joke, because when I became a mum, there was these depths of anger and these depths of explosive rage and these depths of sadness that they all just seemed to be coming out of nowhere. Now, thanks to Eutaptics, I know none of that was coming out of nowhere, and it was not a medical condition. It was a lot of unprocessed things from my own childhood. And now that I've been able to go in and release those, and with Eutaptics, we're really about changing a lot of the proofs and the references. So the visual, sound and smell, taste, sensation references in the mind, when you start to change those, you can really become whole. You can integrate back into that childhood self, into the joy, but we often say to clients, like, babies don't say I'm not good enough. They don't have a sense of that in the beginning. So that is our conditioned selves saying that to us. Yeah.
I feel like when you're talking about that, it reminds me when I was pregnant with Essie, I felt like so much came up because she was taking up a lot of room in me. And a lot of this old stuff that had space or had a seat in my consciousness before no longer had room and was no longer welcome. And so I could totally understand what you're saying. Now, so tell us, So tell us more about Eutaptics, because I think this is one of the most incredible techniques, and I'm really happy for everyone to hear about this from you.
It is a really incredible technique. It focuses in on what happens. Like my job as the practitioner is to take you back to experiences in your life and really looking for where is the emotional charge. And people might say, well, Ilka, I don't really remember a lot of my childhood, or I don't remember a lot of my past. So we would say to that your present day is a reflection of your past if it bothers you. If you are triggered by things, then that's a negative, it's a reflection of the things that happened to you, the experiences that happened to you. And then even in some of our positive, when we put people on pedestals, when we, so it feels more of a pedestal, like a positive kind of, like an addiction, you know, where we're addicted to shopping perhaps, and it feels like it can feel good to do it, but that can also be going back to experiences from childhood. Beauty, I mean, to speak to beauty, that's often where if we got praised for being beautiful, you know, we're searching for that praise. So whether the charge is positive or negative, or you've given it that meaning, it's still an emotional charge, and it takes you out of the present moment. And so with Eutaptics, we can take you back and kind of give you back what you perhaps needed at the time, which will give you a sense of yourself more than having to take the cues from the outside. That's usually what the changing our memories and changing our experiences is all about, and changing the perception of them.
Got it.
Yeah.
So what is your experience in the years working with all these different clients? You mentioned a little bit, like if someone got praised for being beautiful, maybe it affected what they're looking for now. So what have you seen through the experience of working with so many clients in regards to beauty?
Oh, I have, when you asked me this question, I was thinking about it, and really it's what was said to us. It's how our primary caregivers, whether that's mum and dad, grandparents, whoever was around in our childhood, it's how we saw them interact with each other. It's how siblings interacted with us. It really, we have a concept in Eutaptics, which is the stage was set. So whatever stage you came into, it really set up how you will view yourself. And yeah, to look at that from the angle of beauty, you can start to ask yourself questions like, you know, what was mum's view of beauty? What was dad's view of beauty? What was my sibling? What were they learning? What did they feel about themselves? And that will usually be pointers to where you started to take on your views as well, and your perceptions of yourself.
That makes a lot of sense. I remember being a kid and I have little moments of memories of my mom or my dad saying something, and I can remember it all the time. Definitely left a pretty strong impression for me. And I really appreciated working with you with Eutaptics. And for me, we're going to do a little demo in a minute. So you guys can get a little taste, and everyone will be able to do it too, who's listening, right? Okay. So this is great.
Yeah.
In my experience, what was so powerful for me was we went back through things that I had memories of, and we restructured the memory, and we allowed my conscious, but also a little bit of my unconscious, because you kind of create this space, this state where you're very in between. And so we allowed my little in between space to recreate this beautiful story and visual. And then re-impressed that visual into my now consciousness. And I remember those. I think about those memories that we recreated, and I remember them just as if they happened. So it's such a fun process. And just that little change changes this lifelong experience of who I've been. Everything's lighter and softer. And even though I had worked on some of those traumas and I had really understood and appreciated everything that I had been through and didn't hold myself a victim of those things, I think that what had happened is because I had felt like a victim for however long until I grew up and studied and realized that I wasn't a victim, that chunk of time that I sat in victim consciousness left this frayed impression of who my future was. And so I feel like what we did through the Eutaptics was we went back into that original experience, that original memory, and we recreated a story that overrode that frayed bridge in between when I let go of that victim consciousness and when the experience happened. And for me, that was I felt huge changes. And so I'm really excited we can do a little now with everybody. And then we actually recorded one of my longer sessions. Most of your sessions with me, they've been close to 2 hours, right?
Yes, that's a usual
Okay.
session. Yes.
So I'll include in the show notes, I'll actually include the link to my full session. If anybody's interested, I'm very happy. I'm pretty open, really happy to share all of my stuff with you. So we'll include that. But for today, we're going to do just a little shorter Eutaptics, just so you can get an idea of what this is and you can practice along. So let's do it.
Let's do it. So you said, Kristin, that it's all about reclaiming health, beauty, and vitality in our body.
That's what we're doing.
One of the questions that's great to ask, if that is the desired outcome, you can ask, what is in resistance to me feeling this 100%? 100% that I am reclaiming health, beauty, vitality in my body. What do you feel is in most resistance to that?
The resistance shows up, just quickly going into that, in my physical body, a lot of density, a lot of old stories, a lot of old beliefs. And then I had this story that I wasn't good enough health-wise because of some levels of sickness. So when you say that, the density in my body is what shows up.
Okay. And where do you feel this density in your body?
Primarily, I feel it more in my heart and my solar plexus, and then I feel it running down my spine.
Okay. And if you were to really feel into that, and you could close your eyes if that is good for you, and notice your heart, your solar plexus running down your spine, and you were to give that a voice, what does it say to you?
It's growling.
It's growling.
Yeah. Kind of like stay away. It's protecting itself.
Oh, protecting itself. Okay. And if you had a visual for that growling, can you see what it looks like?
Yeah, it's just this very dark blue, almost black, but it's actually this very dark blue cloud. And it has these thorns kind of all on the exterior of it. And it's like a puffy cloud in my chest area. And then down my spine, it looks a little bit more like a rope, but it is this etheric, a bit cloud material with the spines in it.
Okay. Beautiful. So we'll just now go to, I'm going to ask you a different question about something in your life that like the time in your life where you felt the most healthy, the most beautiful, the most vitality.
I remember being a kid and I had a lot of energy and I used to
Yeah.
stay up a lot. I didn't sleep very much. I would stay up all night long.
Yeah.
I would put towels under the door so my parents didn't know the light was on, and I would redecorate my room and
Yeah.
reorganize things and read books and play and have the best
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. And what was the best part about this for you?
I felt accomplished and
Mm-hmm.
creative,
Yeah.
and I had a lot of energy and vitality to give me the fuel to do the things I really wanted to do, things and experience things and enjoy color and texture and learning.
Mhm.
And so having that energy to change things around and be explorative was really what I was looking for.
And you've carried on doing it through your whole life. Look at you changing things around now. I love it.
Yeah.
Changing the whole beauty industry around.
Hopefully.
I love it. I love it. So this little you, we can to really keep this short, and to show you what in Eutaptics, this is called bad, good collapse. This is how actually you collapse anything that you want to collapse in your life and really step into the wholeness of it. You can find a really happy moment. This is what we use. And then I'm going to take Kristin back to this other metaphoric expression here of her density in her body and show you how the process works. This is a very shortened up version today. Are you ready, Kristin,
I'm
to
ready.
do that?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll start with your little self in her room, just going back to that. And really being there. Are you in her body? Looking at
Yes.
her eyes? Yes,
Yeah.
okay. So in her body, looking at her eyes, at all the beautiful things in her room and how accomplished she feels, moving them around, changing things around, redecorating the colors, the textures. It's making this feeling really strong. And taking a big, deep breath, blowing it away. And then we grab our wrist, and this is like an anchor point to this good memory, happy memory, and peace. Okay. So now we're going to go back into the other feeling in your heart, your solar plexus, this feeling running down your spine. Just noticing that. And notice how you feel like it's this growling. It's protecting yourself. These dark blue clouds, the thorns, all on the exterior. And that rope, that puppy cloud, all of it, just noticing it and making it really strong. This density, this story, the not good enough story that it's connected to, making that really strong. How strong are you feeling this? If 10's the strongest and 0's the least?
9.
Okay, beautiful. Just focus in on what makes it even stronger. Because the stronger you make it, Kristin, the faster it is going to go. Are you ready to feel it all for the last time?
Yes.
Okay. So I want you to just notice we're going to go down to the beach together with our bucket and spade. And we're going to build a big sandcastle. This big sandcastle. And now we're coming to the end of the day. We're walking home. And we notice as we look back that a big wave comes up and it washes the sandcastle away. And what happens to it? It disappears, doesn't it?
Yes.
It disappears. So now just tapping with me between the eyes, side of the eye, under the eye, and the collarbone. Just going around these points, letting this all go, letting it go, letting go of the sadnesses, the fears, the anger, emotional traumas, letting go of the judgments, the guilt, the shame, the humiliations, the abandonments, the betrayals, letting go of rejections, letting go of resentments, letting it all go, letting it all go. This density, this feeling in my solar plexus, running down my spine, this growling, I'm letting it all go, letting it all go. It's washing away, letting it go, letting it go. Deep breath. Blowing it away. And grabbing your wrist, give it a squeeze. And peace. Okay. So now we're going to step back into your little self again, into your kid energy. In her room, redecorating. All her energy, all her vitality. What's the best part about doing this for you?
No schedule, just a lot of freedom.
A lot of freedom, yeah. A feeling of freedom. And what color would you give this? This feeling of freedom.
It's a peachy color.
Peachy color, yeah. Okay. So just noticing this beautiful peachy color and how much energy you have, and taking another big deep breath. Blow it away. And again, just grabbing your wrist, give it a squeeze and peace. Okay. Just letting it go. Beautiful. All right, now we're just going back to this feeling in your body, Kristin. Again, noticing what's changing, what's left. In your heart, your solar plexus, running down your spine. How strong can you make it now?
Now it's about a 2.
Okay. So just notice this 2. Is there anything that would make it stronger? You hear this growling sound or the thorns?
Yeah, I can get it to about a 5.
Okay, good job. There's 5. So aiming at the 5, noticing how you know it's a 5, and just tapping with me, this feeling, this 5 out of 10, whatever it's connected to. And letting it go, letting it go, letting it go, letting it go. I'm not back there anymore, whatever this is connected to. I'm safe. I'm safe to have energy and vitality. Safe to be free. Yeah. Let this go. Let it go. Safe for it to change. Letting it go. Okay, big deep breath. Blow it away. And again, grabbing your wrist, give it a squeeze and peace. Okay, let's just notice again what's, you could got it to a 5. What is feeling now? Notice what's changing.
It's just all crumbling down, and that it's kind of breaking apart, and it's transmuting into this more peachy color cloud, and everything seems more happy and fresh and energy.
Yeah, beautiful, happy and fresh and energy. So just let's spread that feeling out. Can you notice that happy, fresh energy and that peachy color spreading out, and it's going into your heart, into your solar plexus, running down your spine.
I can feel it in all the cells in my body.
Beautiful. So let's tap it in, this peachy color. It's peachy color. Yeah. As I change this, everything changes. Everything changes. Safe to know that I am healthy. I am beautiful. I have vitality and energy. Yeah, this is who I am at my core. I'm a beautiful, vital, healthy being. Like my little self. I'm free. Yeah, big deep breath. Float away. And grabbing a wrist and peace. Awesome. So just again, noticing little you in a bedroom, how accomplished she feels in this beautiful peachy color. And again, feeling that in your whole body as you're going about interacting with all the beautiful colors and the textures and having so much fun, being creative, and how accomplished you feel. Shall we, how's that feeling now?
Incredible.
Kristin?
I feel amazing. I could feel it in all the cells of my body. I feel different.
Yay. So we usually finish a Eutaptics session by doing what we call an integration, which is giving our younger self a hug, or whoever perhaps we've been working on in the session, working with. So if you see your little self there in front of you, little redecorating you.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you invite her over to give you a hug, does she come?
Yes.
Okay. And you can do this physically. So wrapping your arms around her and feel her arms wrapping around you. She's holding you as tight as you're holding her. And whisper something to her, something you've always needed to hear. And she whispers something back to you. Receive that. Okay, so now just bringing all that beautiful peachy light and freedom inside, hugging her tighter and tighter. She's becoming one with you. She's safe. Okay, just noticing that good feeling inside. That peachy feeling, her energy, her vitality, her creativeness. All the ways she feels so accomplished and so beautiful. Okay, big deep breath. Float away. And peace.
Feels so good. When I was hugging her at the end, I thought I had this like idea that she was going to kind of come back into me. And it was the
Yeah.
opposite. I kind of dissolved into her.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it
Beautiful.
was so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Thank you
incredible
so
what the
much.
mind does.
Hmm. It's always
Yeah.
impressive. I
Yeah.
definitely, this is, all of our sessions have been really incredible. And it's so, you think it's something so simple just to go back and rewrite your memories. And I think one of the things that I really appreciate about you, Ilka, is I've done work with other people, similar work, but you have this really amazing way of getting into the story and really getting, the question. I know this was a short version. Obviously, normally we're
Yes.
working for a much longer time, but for the sake of no one wants a 3-hour podcast, I just
Yeah.
wanted people to kind of hear. But what I think what they don't get to hear just through this little intro is your ability to really dive into the story and really remind and open the mind to the memories that are there unconsciously so that we can, have access to the painful ones, to the traumatic ones, and really get into those. And that's what
Yes.
I really love and
Yes.
appreciate.
Thank you. Yes, a huge part of the Eutaptics process is called the art of change. And it does come from many models, but a lot comes from the NLP model of asking the questions and getting into where is the detail, where are the things that really create the emotional charge in the body. Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Thank you so much
And
for
it's
that.
fun.
Yeah, for everyone listening. I hope it felt good for you guys too. I'm
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you notice, you work with so many clients in so many different countries. Do
Yes.
you notice a difference in the different countries between people's mindset around beauty, how it impacts their life, and how it impacts the stories and the memories that they're working on for themselves?
Oh, I love this question. And it made me really, again, dive deep into thinking about this. And what I want to say first is that across every country, and I might work mostly with women, and particularly in this area, I work with women because I do often work with women on their self-esteem and how they feel about themselves. And I would say that there is more similarities across all cultures and countries than there are differences.
Wow.
But in saying that also, I do notice that certain cultures, and certain cultural belief systems create more trauma for women. Yeah, as I'm sure that you're very aware of some of and religions. I work with quite a few Indian women, and in their culture, beauty is a really big deal. Compared to Australian culture, we certainly have it in Australia. As I said, it's more that we all experience this. We really do. I just find that in the Indian culture, there is so many social occasions and so many things where they gather together socially, where they need to be dressed up, where they need to have, and in particular sections of that culture, that is, they have to be presentable to the world. That's still a huge part of their culture. I know, my mum, she comes from the 50s where you didn't go down the street, as we call it in Australia, going down the street. You put your face on, you put your makeup on, she tells me stories about when she was 16, she had to put her stockings on to go down the street. My mum didn't start not wearing makeup down the street, I think, until she was about in her 60s. And now she's very proud of the fact she's so much more natural all the time. But I think in some cultures, this is still quite big. The going out and being, as you say, it's how people are seeing you is part of this whole thing. And in some cultures, they still have a lot of events where that is a really big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you think we have some healing work to do within our community of humans in regards to our experience of self-love?
Oh, absolutely. Like, it's the healing we need to do in this area is deep, it's profound. I'm so glad that you are bringing this to the fore, Kristin. It is just, yeah, the experience of some of my clients is pretty horrendous, really. It's, being told that you're fat, or being told that you're by a parent, by a trusted person in your life, is teasing you, often because they believe it's going to motivate you to change. So most people are doing it out of some kind of belief system like that, of course, but it is extremely damaging to the child at the time. And without a process like Eutaptics, I'm working with 30-year-old women, 40-year-old women, 50-year-old, and up to my oldest client was in her 80s. And they all have carried this. They're still carrying it. When I go into the memory, it's still an 8 out of 10.
Wow.
And they're an 80-year-old or even a 30-year-old, and a memory of their father saying or calling them fatty as a teenager, or even saying that they're lazy because they don't do something. It just creates this self-image that we carry with us, and it has effects on them, in that they will not feel safe in social situations. They don't want to go out. It hinders them with dating. It's really deeply,
Wow.
there's some things that really need to shift, and
Yeah,
for us to become much more aware of what happens. But the good news is you can change it. You can change it. I want to say that very much. You can go and do this work, and you can change how those people saying those things about yourself, a lot of bullying in schools as well, from other girls, other people in your life. That's another big one that people experience.
yeah,
All these situations where we felt at the time we were a real victim, and at the time we make it mean that they made us feel that way.
yeah.
So we have to step into owning that's not true anymore. We're the one doing it to ourselves now. And we are the ones that can really shift this inside of us and change it.
Yes. It's so important. When we are a victim, we are not in the seat of power. You can't be a victim and be a manifester. And people nowadays, it's more of a hefty topic in the world. People are working on visualizing and creating and taking into consideration their ability to create their reality. And you can't be both. So if our work is to really sit in this seat of power in our future and manifest and create this reality that we want to live in, we are not just what we are thinking we are today. We are a conglomerate of all the old stories and beliefs that we wake up every morning and identify with. And so having the opportunity to go back in time to really recreate some of these beliefs, to take into consideration that maybe at one point we thought we were a victim, and to have the opportunity to acknowledge that, everything that we have experienced is a gift. And it's all a teacher, really we're students of life, and we're learning the hard way in some cases, and some, I don't want to say that's always how it is. But this, opportunity to go back into your stories and to work as a powerful manifester in recreating those stories and giving yourself a whole new past experience in the mind. It doesn't discredit, for me, it never felt like I discredited anything that I had experienced. It was, for me, all a lesson. And I'm happy that I experienced it. It was more like watching a movie of it. And now I have a different show to watch, a different lens to see that same story. We'll say that's kind of how it shifted.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
for me, I feel more powerful moving forward because I know that regardless of whether I consider it or not, I'm 42 years old now. I have 42 years of 43 maybe, because I'm sure there's beliefs that form when we're in our mother's wombs. So I have 43 years of stuff in there that allows me to create this identity. And
Absolutely.
I'm
Yes.
not, I'm not that conscious enough that I can disassociate myself from the reality. I still think I'm Kristin every morning when I wake up, and so I have the opportunity to, everything that makes me who I identify with is now coming from this sweeter, kinder, grateful place. And all of the things are just stories. They're just an experience, just like watching a movie instead of actually living the movie. And so I think I'm really excited for people to have the opportunity to work with you and do more of this therapy. It's amazing. What do you think is maybe like one or two of the most exciting things that you've seen with people being able to shift their mindset around their body, around their self-worth, around their self-love?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I see so many exciting things. Oh, gosh, I'll get emotional because, especially working with the younger women I work with, and they're just beginning their lives. And and of course, all across the board, but I'm just thinking of these women now, and they are stifling their lives. They're so stuck, as you say, in victim mode that they're not able to go out and live and connect with other people. And then it's that important time in life when we're wanting to connect with a partner, perhaps. And when I see that is really difficult for them, it's beautiful when that changes, because they are able to start to connect with themselves, and that because they start loving themselves, they start to connect with passions in their lives, and then they can start going out and connecting with men or with women, whoever they want as their partners. They can connect, and friends as well, from that place of self-love. And that's when, I get messages every day about how those things have changed. I just got a few this morning, and it is amazing, or they're reconnecting with their parents. That's the message I got this morning. Somebody letting me know that her dad had rung her back, and he was, he'd said something in a different way than she'd ever experienced before. And so it's weird to say it, but we have this expression with all the clients that I work with and with all the mums that I work with, that you can't make this shit up. It's like when the inside of you changes, everything outside of you does seem to change. So going back to what you're saying about the law of attraction. So yes, I experience this all the time. It's like I live in magical miracle land. Like it's really, it's so fun because yes, the healing, the deep experiences of our lives, which now can, as you say, Kristin, can become an opportunity to be your greatest teacher. Our pains do become our greatest teachers. They're an experience of what we don't want in life. And then as we go through life, and me as a mother, I get to change how my children experience life, and I get to change how I relate to other people. So to me, seeing how that happens, and as human beings, our relationships are really what inform us to everything about ourselves. That's where our deepest pains are, and that's where our deepest joys are. they're interacting obviously with the natural world and with the things in our world, but our relationships, really, that's the thing everybody says when you're on your deathbed, your relationships will really inform what a life you lived. So that's where I see the greatest shifts. I see women who, one of the wonderful stories of a lady that I've worked with for a few years who was chronically ill, and she was able to give her dad hugging lessons at one stage. And she grew hugging lessons. Now, if I'd told her in the beginning that that was going to become her reality, she would not have believed me. Wow. She would have thought I was crazy. The only affection that she had seen her father give to her mother was just a touch on her arm at a wedding one time. The only affection that she'd really experienced from him was before she got to kind of age 3. After that, he really was more distant and that. So she, she's now creating this beautiful interaction with her father that's just so different, and one that she could not have really imagined before she started doing this process. So it's things like that. And I could tell story after story after story of these miraculous shifts in relationships. Yeah.
Our vibration changes, and everything that we attract into our life has to match that vibration.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see it every day. I see it, and it is magical and beautiful, and it's, it's living that synchronistic life, I call it, where just one synchronicity after another. Mm-hmm. And you and I, when we met, I was just like, wow. So,
I know, we were immediate besties.
Yeah. And I said to you, you'd heard about me from Michelle, and kind of, you said you got this instant download. Yep, I have to speak to her. And I remember saying to you, how wonderful it would be if everybody really lived life from that deep knowing inside themselves and interacted with each other from there. We're changing the world if we do that.
Just trust yourselves, people.
Trust yourself.
I love it. Now, I ask everyone at the end of the show, please share one tidbit, one tool, one guidance, one piece of wisdom for someone that wants to redefine their own beauty.
For me, it will have to be the tap. Because tapping has changed my life. And tapping is such a simple thing to do. You're right at your fingertips. And if you are triggered, you can tap. It's like, it's right there. And you can all you need to say is let it go. So anything that you are saying inside yourself, feeling inside yourself, visualizing inside yourself that is not serving you in your current life, it's not creating the life that you want. You get your fingers up, you lift them up, and you start doing this process. You start saying in your head, you tap, tap, tap between the eyes, side of the eye, under the eye, collarbone, and you say, let it go, let it go. And you focus on your fingers tapping, and you feel them tapping, because we call this a defractionation. You're defractionating these stories that are not serving you, and you're releasing them. And as you do this, because it's kind of an action, for me, this is what I love about tapping. It's an action that I have to do. And that was very useful for me. I wasn't good at sitting there meditating. I wasn't good at writing in my journals. I'm a kinesthetic learner. So if you're a kinesthetic learner like me, I feel like tapping is it's so amazing, because we can feel our fingers and we can feel this. And when we tune into the feeling of the fingers, the sound of the fingers, and we just say, let it go, it's It changes everything as you do this. It really does. So I encourage people to tap.
And for those of you who are listening and not just watching, we
Yes.
were tapping on our forehead,
Yes.
just above our
Forehead. That's what I was saying.
eyebrows,
Between the
on
eyes.
the
Yes. Side of the
temples,
eye.
on the cheeks, kind of on the front of the face, and then like around the thymus on the chest.
Yes.
That's so
Yeah.
simple.
So simple. So simple. And when you do it, you just aim at what's bothering you, like I did with Kristin and thing. You can find how strong you can make it. And then you focus on your fingers. You aim at the sound of them tapping. You feel them tapping. And you just say, let this go, let this go, let this go. And then you can go back and you can keep just noticing it. It will go down. Yeah. If you've got big stuff, come and tap with me.
Yes. And so if people want to come and tap with you, how can people find you?
You can go to ilkaoster.com. It's pretty simple. Yeah.
And I will share that in the show notes. And
fantastic. Yes.
I hope everyone at least have a couple sessions with Ilka. It's so worth it. And it's so nice to have a friend across the world. I really appreciate it. We're recording. It's a different day here for me than it is for you.
It's the morning in Australia. Yay.
Yes, I love it. Well, thank you so much for being with us. And thank you to everyone for listening. I really appreciate just the time and the consideration to reconsider what beauty is and all these incredible tools and techniques that we have out there to continue redefining that journey of beauty that we cultivate within and sharing it with others and creating a more beautiful world, not based on our lips and our butt and the size of our waist and our fingernail length and things like that. And I love all those things. If those are important to you, great, I'm very happy. But I really love that we get to offer some other options for those who feel a little bit differently about where they want to create beauty in the reality. So I will see you all next week. And thank you, Ilka. And I hope everyone has an organically beautiful day.
Thank you.